All right, let's talk about a US government settlement that you probably didn't see on the news, but believe me, it's sending some serious shockwaves through the world of government contracting. This is a story all about cybersecurity, but probably not in the way you're thinking.
So it all kicks off with this number right here, $421,234. That's a pretty hefty check that a company, a precision parts manufacturer called Swiss Automation, had to cut for the US government.
So, the big question is, what on earth did they do to get a bill that big? Did they ship a bunch of faulty parts, miss some crazy important deadline? Nope, not even close. The real reason is something totally different. And honestly, it's signaling a whole new kind of battleground for anyone who does business with the government. Okay, let's get into it. The whole story really just boils down to a massive cybersecurity bill. But, this isn't the kind of bill you get from your IT guy. No, this one came straight from the Department of Justice.
And that right there is the key. Swiss Automation, they're a precision machining business, right? So you'd think if there was a problem, it would be with the actual physical parts they're making. But no, this entire case, the whole thing, hinged on their digital security not being up to snuff. And check this out. This is a direct quote from the settlement. The government basically said the company knowingly, and that's the important word here, knowingly failed to protect the technical drawings for the parts they were making. We're talking about the really sensitive stuff, the digital blueprints. That word knowingly is huge. The government wasn't saying, oh, oops, you had an accident. They were saying you knew the rules and you didn't follow them.
So how did the government even make this happen? What was their legal weapon of choice? Well, they reached way back into their legal playbook and pulled out a law that's been around for over 150 years. It's called the False Claims Act. You can think of the False Claims Act as the government's #1 tool for fighting fraud. Fun fact, it was actually signed into law by Abraham Lincoln to go after shady suppliers during the Civil War. And today, it's used for pretty much everything, from healthcare fraud to, you guessed it, cybersecurity. Okay, but here's where the story gets really interesting. The government didn't actually find this problem on its own. The whole case came about because of something called a qui tam action. It's a fancy legal term, but what it means is that a private citizen, a whistleblower, can actually sue on behalf of the government. And here's the best part for them, at least. If they win, they get a slice of the pie, a cut of the settlement money. So that brings us to the three main characters in this whole drama. You've got the company getting sued, the government who says they were defrauded, and of course, the whistleblower who blew the whole thing open. All right, so in one corner, you've got Swiss Automation, the company itself. And in the other corner, you have a man named Jaime Gomez. He's the whistleblower, the revelator, as they call it. He's the one who stepped up and said, hey, this company isn't doing what they promised on cybersecurity. And that means they're basically billing the government under false pretenses. Now, this whole thing never actually went to a big dramatic trial. Like a lot of these cases, they reached a settlement. So let's break down what that deal actually looks like. So let's go back to that headline number, that $421,234. That's the grand total Swiss Automation agreed to pay to make this all go away. But where did all that money go? Good question. Well, looking at the breakdown, about $146,000 went right back to the US government as restitution. And our whistleblower, Jaime Gomez, well, for all his trouble, he walked away with a cool $65,000. Not a bad payday. But, and this is a really important but, just paying the fine doesn't mean everything is forgiven and forgotten. The settlement agreement is super clear that there are still some big things the government can come after them for. In legal speak, these are called reserved claims. What that means in plain English is that the government can still go after them for things like criminal charges or tax problems. They could even get banned from getting any more government contracts. And this deal does absolutely nothing to protect them from other lawsuits, like if someone got hurt by a defective product. So yeah, this settlement only closes one very specific chapter of the book. And this quote right here, this really gets to the core of what a legal settlement is all about. It's pretty standard language, but it's important. The company isn't saying we're guilty, and the government isn't saying our case was weak. All they're both saying is, hey, let's just agree to disagree and walk away so we don't have to deal with a super long and expensive court battle. And there it is, the agreement all signed and sealed. This document officially closes the books on this one case. But at the same time, it's opening up a brand new playbook for the entire defense industry. It's a big deal. So you might be thinking, why are we spending so much time on one settlement with one company? Why does it matter? Well, it matters because this case is a huge flashing warning sign for literally every single business that works with the US government.
This right here is the big takeaway. The Department of Justice has basically fired a warning shot across the bow. They've made it crystal clear they are ready, willing, and able to use the False Claims Act to go after companies for cybersecurity failures. This is an absolute game changer. It takes something that might have just been a contract dispute and bumps it up into the much, much more serious world of government fraud.
So, if you're a government contractor, what are the lessons you should be learning from this? Well, number one, cybersecurity is not just an IT problem anymore. It's a legal landmine waiting to go off. Number two, any one of your employees can become a whistleblower, and now they have a pretty big financial reason to do it. And number three, if you mess this up, the penalties are absolutely massive. We're talking about a whole new level of risk here.
And all of this leaves us with one final big question to think about. As our military technology just gets more and more complex, more digital, more interconnected, is cybersecurity going to become the new front line in the fight against government fraud? It really seems like protecting the digital blueprints is becoming just as critical as actually building the parts themselves.